Hi, how are you? Sure, you can ask me a question, anything. You're writing. No, this isn't a bad time. I'm just kind of surprised that that was the question you had for me. Sure. Yeah, just put it down on my desk. I'm so sorry. It's a catastrophe right now, but this is a lot of storyboarding. Do you know what that is? Well, you haven't really written anything yet, but you're giving me outlines that are impressively color coordinated, actually. Is it lunchtime for you guys? Study hall, okay. Do you have a pass? I don't really care that you're skipping it, but you know, just in case somebody comes in, I don't want them to see me with the student unauthorized to be here. Okay. Do I have to write you a note? Okay, good, because I hate writing those. The bathroom passes and everything. Oh my gosh, it's just waste of paper. It's a waste of paper. But this isn't. This looks wonderful. No, I'm actually quite flattered that you asked me. I mean, you could have asked any of the other English teachers. Let me just close a few tabs, wrap some things up, and I'll get to looking at it. I'm very excited. What inspired you to start doing this? Lovely. Do any of your friends write or anything? Artist and a poet. Okay, so I see where this is coming from. No, not coming from them. Okay, just friends with them. Okay, sure. Okay, cool. You know, you should join the book club. Oh, sure, they read, but I mean, they write too, and if you want to be writing, you need to be reading. The more you read, the better you write. Do you want me to just look it over, give you my feedback, edits, you know, any of that stuff? Okay, yeah, I can. You don't mind that I write on it or anything? Okay, cool. No, but really, if you're writing, you better be reading, especially with the material that I'm giving you. But you can read on your own too. Okay. What are you reading? It's a good one. It's sad. I mean, I read quite a bit. I think I read and write an equal amount. Yeah, I write. I mean, I could give you some of what I've written, but it's not very interesting. Let's just focus on what you've done today. Maybe one day I'll show you. But anyway, I choose to read more lighthearted stuff. I do try to challenge you guys though with what I give you, the material that I give you. I like the way you've organized this, but just here, your character names. There's no separation from them and the names of the towns and all that stuff, so you might want to separate those out a little bit. in this map you've drawn here, I like it. But not a lot of students come to me with stuff like this, but you know, I've taught writing classes, and in the past when somebody has come to me and they have the visuals all planned out and the plot structure all planned out, but they just have character names and adjectives written down, I say, let's take a step back. Let's have a little bit more fun with this, right? Because you don't want to develop your story initially if you don't have base characteristics or an understanding of who you're writing about. In my opinion, it's the most fun part of writing is making characters. You need to have a protagonist that has a goal, and I see that your protagonist has one here. But you want to make sure that you know them well enough to know how they're going to evolve throughout the story and how they will affect the characters that they meet, how they will be affected. Listen, there are plenty of ways you could write a story, and from what I'm seeing here is you don't like to just go with the flow. You don't just like to start writing and then see where it goes. You like to have an outline, and that is reassuring, because I mean most writers do that, and it also means that you are thinking ahead into the future and you want to plan. But why don't we talk about it a little bit? You know, like your protagonist, okay? You were describing them as ambivalent, bit rowdy, okay, overachieving, sure. Who have you taken, if you don't mind me asking, inspiration from for this protagonist? Did you look inside yourself? Do you have a family member, a friend? If you told me that you just made this character up out of complete thin air, I wouldn't believe you. And I mean, you can say that if you want to, but it's going to be harder for you down the road when you are really trying to connect to this character and you say, but I can't because I just made this person up. I mean, yeah, okay. And what life instance caused that development to happen inside of you? Make it brief. Okay. Feel free to share anything you want to share and anything you don't, but I'm unbiased, you know, I'm just here to help you. And writers, they like to do a lot of their work alone, but what's super important is peer editing. You need to have other people look at it, and writers to writers, we understand. I mean, we all write from a place of needing to share a story that they have seen, heard, or they've experienced, and all we're doing is just sharing those experiences right now, okay? Yes, I can show you what I've written. It's just I'm the teacher, and I would have to think about that a little bit. No, don't apologize. I understand where you're coming from. I simply just have to make sure it fits within the moral standards. Okay, cool. So I like that we have a better outline of this now. Now, okay. You have a handful of side characters. How would you say they relate to one another instead of just to the protagonist? because at some point in the story they're going to have to come in contact. From the plot that I'm reading here, it's very clear how the characters interact with the protagonist and how they affect them and so on. But you can't have a story where all of the side characters just interact with the protagonist. They're gonna come into contact with each other somehow, and that can be really difficult, but it can also be really fun to see how those personalities interact. Well, when he travels to the town square here, just drawing a little. This is fun. I see where you did this. I do like drawing this out. They all kind of collect in one space when the big speech is happening. If they're next to each other and they haven't spoken, all of these characters come together at once without having met before. It is going to be too much for the reader to handle, and it's going to drown out what you're actually trying to say in that scene. Because when you're reading a story, you have to imagine everything that's happened, and you haven't imagined these characters together. So what do you think? Let's do a little. Okay, so we have a grid here. How does this character interact with this character, and this one with this one, and this one with this one? Oh, sorry, 1 second. I have to turn my notifications off. Like, I check my email as often as possible, and then it just dings at me, and I don't need the reminder. You know what? I actually think you're fully capable of doing this yourself. I don't really know why I am babying you. I've read what you've written. I know that you can handle your own ideas, but I do want you to go home and practice this, you know. It doesn't even have to be a relation that is a part of the story. You can, when you're making a book, or so you say you want to make a book, this could turn into a short story, it could turn into a poem. You don't have to make this the biggest thing of your life. But what can be fun is writing material that you're not actually going to put into the book. So we could take what if they went out for like a picnic or something? What if they went? The plot completely changed and they were set in a dystopian world where they were at war with some evil force, and when they came up with each other. I know they're completely different. I know they're totally different. I mean, she's quite unbothered, as you've said here, and he's very worrisome. So what do you think? Would they fight, or would they learn from each other? You know, how would that work? It will help you understand the characters better. I really do like this plot you have going on. I've said this to you before, but you're wise beyond your years. I can see in the themes you develop and the claims you make, you're pulling from sources outside of yourself. Either you're doing extra research or you're attentive to the world. You take what comes your way and you really try to uncover more about it. There are some, you know, bits and bobs with run-on sentences and all of that stuff, but don't worry about it. That's where editing comes in. The fact that you have the ability to start writing and have a flow right when you sit down is impressive. So I'm excited to read the rest of this. Are you sure you don't want any, stickers or anything? Okay. I also urge you to seriously think about joining the book club. We have a really good number of selections. If you're busy with athletics or, outside of school stuff, that's fine. You can come and just hear the discussion. If you need to, just go online and search up a summary, but being there to talk about writing, even if you just read one passage, you can just come to the meeting and say, hey, I only read this one passage, but it was very interesting to me and I want to talk about it. Or I'm sure that all the students in that club dilly-dally with writing. I think you would actually be a really good addition, because it's not common that students come into my classroom and they say, I've done something other than what you've given me and I want you to look at it. And I wouldn't say it's my goal as a teacher to help students develop an immense passion for writing so much that they want to do it in their free time. My goal is to improve students' writing, and even though, they have so much other work to do, they can use it as a tool to expand their mind. I mean, writing and reading. I know that the kids don't always read what I give them, but it can be a part of school that is actually enlightening and allows you to see your creative side. And I know that some of the kids in the book club, they just show up because they think that it will earn them credit, fake credit. They show up to a meeting, they sign up for a club, and oh, that's my ticket to college. That's my ticket for admiration and praise from my teachers. I'm not saying they're all like that, and I'm not saying that the ones that I have seen, join a lot of clubs feel extremely in that way. But I think you have a good understanding of where to put your time and how to dedicate your energy to things in doses balanced. Bring that to the table. I can tell you read. Right, this doesn't have to be a book. I found when I was younger, everything I wrote I thought had to be this incredible piece of literature. It had to be published, the world had to see it. It had to be 500 pages long. No flaws. It's just never gonna happen. Short stories, poems, haikus, sentences, words, just making a story out of single words, little things you can do. You want to get your feet in the water. My recommendation is don't start this whole process thinking you need to write a book first. I get the outlining thing, I get the storyboarding thing, because it's like, but I am taking baby steps. You have written short stories already, and you have done poetry before. Okay. Again, just because you've checked it off the list doesn't mean you have to forget about it, right? So I don't know how long you've been doing that, but like I said, maybe you want to write a short story about just these two characters who are unrelated, or a poem about them. Because writing isn't about levels all the time. I mean, in the school system, which I don't completely agree with, yes, there are levels, but everything you learn, you can come back to. You can't forget the basics. And sometimes, depending on who you are, poetry can be harder than writing a novel. You're right. I'm getting in a little bit too deep. I know what you meant. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You're right. I sincerely wish we had a writing club, but I tried to start that a long time ago and it just didn't work. Are you thinking about going to college for English? Would I recommend that? Would I recommend that? Would I recommend that? That is a difficult question. You don't have to go to college to write. You don't. I'd say if you are so passionate about it and you love reading and you love writing papers and you hate taking exams, you know, you don't love puzzles as much, that kind of thinking, science, math, English majors should be honed in on what they love. That's not a large group of people. It wasn't me. I mean, and here I am teaching English. I didn't have an English major. I think that what's really good about the school system is you can major in something and still get an English education. I mean, unless you, of course, leave the US, but at least here you're gonna have to continue studying English until much later in your college years. And even then, knowing you're gonna keep trying to write and you're gonna try to find other elements and outlets to write. Sure, I mean, it depends on where you go. And what you want to study influences where you want to look to go to school. You're just so young. You're just so young. I wish that I hadn't thought so much about college. What did I study? Communications. Yeah, I really thought that I would kind of just be sitting at a desk my whole life, and I mean I am, but in a different way. And one day I asked myself the question, how do you really want to impact people? I think working with all different types of consumers or just people in general, it's very camaraderie based, right? But then I thought, where does it all begin? Where are people shaped? How do people grow into who they are? And how does that affect them later in life? The beginning, obviously. So I taught elementary school for a while, and as I've grown up, I've moved up grades. Sure, consider it, but you know, just because you're talking to me doesn't mean that you have to say that. What's that? No, I'm not really a big fan of the Switch. Are you a gamer? I like gaming. I just don't find that I stay in tune with it for very long. You're not playing that in my class, right? Okay, I didn't think so. No, I didn't think so. Are you gonna go play that in study hall now? Yeah, I know he plays it. How much does he talk to you guys about everything other than school? I mean, he should be teaching you guys history, right? I think I talk to you guys a fair amount about fun stuff in my personal life. I'm trying not to go too above and beyond with that. Animal Crossing. Yes, I've played that. I've played that maybe twice. Well, maybe, you know, we can bring it to book club and we can have a little Animal Crossing day. Maybe that would bring more people into the club. Speaking of, we do need a programmer for the club, and you know, somebody who makes posters and, you know, tries to tell people about it. So if you did join, you know, you could have some fun with that, making posters and stuff. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, I know you want to go play your Switch, but take a look at this. If you find that you really don't like what I said and you don't want to do that, that's fine. But, you know, go try it out. Okay. I have you in like 45 minutes, don't I? Okay, well, I'll see you. You can, you know, come to me afterwards if you need to. Yes, we do have a quiz. It's only 15 minutes long. I don't give these huge tests, okay? I give you guys essays. The quizzes are, I'm not gonna say that they're easy, but you guys know what you're doing, right? I mean, come on. Okay. Okay. Yep. No sticker? Okay. Now I'm just doing emails and stuff. I promise my life is exciting, but if I'm in this building, I'm working, so I'll see you. Bye.